Welcome back to MG Marine Tech. We are in the garage again. I wish I could be on the water, but it's just not in the cards right now. I still have some stuff I gotta finish up on the boat before I want to take it out. That involves a bunch of installs. I got a bunch of stuff from my friends over at Hennessy Outdoor Electronics. Let's check out what we got and maybe show you some install videos. I don't know where this is gonna go, but let's take a look. So here's what has arrived from my friends over at Hennessy Outdoor Electronics. Garmin Steadicast and a NEMA 2000 starter kit, as well as a Livescope. Super excited about that. GMS 10 and some networking cables to hook it all together. This is my center console, obviously. I've got both my screens mounted here. I use this 93 for mapping, and then I use my 126 Ultra over there for all my sonar, especially side imaging. Great side imaging unit. And then I have a 93 up front as well. Both the 93s are plus units, and they network flawlessly with the 126. But this is where I am going to be mounting everything. I'm thinking fuse box right over here in that corner, GMS 10 right here, along with the Steadicast, and then the Garmin GLS 10 is going to find a home right here. Plenty of air, keep nice and cool. Everything is going to be very close to my fuse box, so I don't have to extend any wires, no voltage issues. And then I actually run a dedicated battery right here that powers that fuse box, which we'll show here in a little while. After several trips to the hardware store for getting the correct bolt sizes and whatnot, I think I have everything mounted. I'm pretty happy with where everything's at. Livescope black box with the connectors facing up so that the wires can come up and around. GMS 10 networking hub, ports facing down so the wires can come down and out. There is the Steadicast sensor. I will route that wire up and over and down. And then I mounted the fuse box right there, as you can see, for easy access for the battery cables. So that's where everything is going to be mounted. Now on to wiring it all up. So the first wiring I'm going to tackle is the networking cables for everything. Before I only had two 93s and then a 126, and because the 126 has two networking ports, I just needed two networking cables to connect the two, or connect everything together. Well, now that I've added Livescope into the mix, I had to add a GMS 10. For more information, please refer to my networking video on all that, but we're going to touch base on it a little bit here again. Now everything is going to have to go to the GMS 10, and that should create a perfectly working network. So let's show you how I do it. Like I said before, I have a 93 and a 126 on my console, and then up at the bow I've got a 93 as well. Currently right now I've got a 20-foot cable running from the 93 to the 126, and then another smaller cable from the 126 to my other 93, and that allows me to share transducers across the board, etc., etc. Well, now with the Livescope I won't have any open ports, so that is why I added the GMS 10 here. Now the plan is to go 93 to the 126, one of the ports, and then the other port out of the 126 to the GMS 10, 93 up front to the GMS 10, and then the Livescope black box to the GMS 10, and that should get everything working for us. I don't want to get super technical here today on this install video, but I did want to take a second and show you guys some of the wiring techniques that I use on all my installs, as well as some of the tools and products that I use to make these techniques happen. Let's show you what I use and how I do some of these techniques. So these are the tools of the trade that I use. You know, you got your basic standard wire strippers and crimpers, as well as a couple of different types of crimpers. This pair being for insulated and non-insulated connectors, and this one is just for non-insulated connectors. I always use non-insulated stuff unless I am in a pinch and have nothing else handy, and the reason being is that these provide a much better crimp. They're going to last a lot longer, and then you can also use your much better heat shrink, which this stuff is dual walled and it is adhesive lined. So when you heat this stuff up, it'll actually melt the adhesive out and seal up all the cracks and crevices, making everything watertight. So that will make your install way nicer and also last much longer. So this is the key to a good long-term install, is this stuff right here. Let's go ahead. I have one more set of wires to terminate, and I'll show you how I do that. So we've got a couple of 16 gauge wires here. I cut off the included fuse holder, and I will explain why I do this later. First thing is just strip the ends, and then I like to twist the wires to get them nice and solid. So for these non-insulated terminals and connectors, there is a proper way to connect them. As you will see, there is a split right here, and with the tool there is a female and a male side of this die. So I want to put the split on the opposite side of the male side of the die. So the split is up right now. I don't know if you guys can see that. Very slight split, and that is in the opposite side. And then of course, don't forget the most important step, which I just about did, and that is put your shrink wrap on first, or you'll never get it back over the connector. Power side, I'll slip my power side on, slide it on there, and crimp, and there we go. That is crimped on, ready to go. If you want to get super crazy, you could even solder the ends of this stuff. I never do that, but there you go. There's the crimp in the back. Again, it's opposite of the split, and look how nice and clean that is. Both ends are nicely crimped, and then slide your heat shrink back over and heat it up. That is how I terminate ends. Don't mind the color. Like I said, I usually use a heat gun for that portion. Like I said before, I go ahead and I cut off all the included fuse holders for all these devices, and I want to explain a little bit as to why I do that. And there's a couple of reasons. One is because a lot of the times I will cut the cable and really shorten it for my needs, and that means removing this. But the main reason that I remove all of these is because I have a dedicated fuse box here, and so there is no point to running two fuses on one circuit. So all of my circuits are individually fused, so each screen has its own fuse. The GMS 10 has its own fuse, Livescope has its own fuse, etc., etc. So that means there's really no need for this. It cleans up everything and allows me to really shorten up all the wires to keep everything nice and tidy. All right, so here's everything installed. Got the Livescope black box, the GMS 10, and then my fuse panel with my dedicated battery, and then the Steadicast sensor right there. So that's how I have everything ran. The only thing I have left to do is to run the Livescope transducer cable. That install is a wrap. Lots of new stuff on the boat this year. I'm really excited, and I wanted to say thank you to the guys over at Hennessy Outdoor Electronics for getting me everything that I needed, and at a great price and super fast shipping. If you're in the market for some of your own gear, please give them a shout. As always, if you like what you see, please subscribe, give these videos a thumbs up, drop a comment down below if I'm not covering stuff that you want to see covered, and I will add it to the list. But stay tuned. We're gonna get this bad boy out on the water and hopefully be making some more videos for you guys on the stuff that we just installed, including Livescope, some down imaging, side imaging videos. So stay tuned for those, and we'll catch you guys later.